Okay, we're going to start today by replacing a brake rotor. So the first procedure you're going to want to do is remove any zip ties that are holding cable and lines. Disconnect your motor plug, paying attention to orientation for the arrow and the notch on the one side and the arrow on the other when you realign them. You then are going to need a 5mm tool to remove the caliper. And we're only replacing the rotor in this case, but it's a good idea to remove the brake caliper as well to be sure that it is lined up again when you reassemble. Once we've got those out of the way, we're going to start taking the axle bolts out and the spacers, paying attention to position of spacers so that when you reassemble everything, it's going back in the same direction. Also remove the lock washer. It's the same on both sides. Get this bolt and washer out. Okay, now that we've got that out, we're ready to remove the wheel assembly. It's going to just slide straight out, paying attention to these two spacers. This is what we call the cable side spacer. It has a little notch so that it doesn't actually crush that cabling. And then this is the non-cable side spacer. So you want to remove those, set those aside, remembering which side they go to. Once our wheel is off, we're going to start removing all 6 screws, which are T25. As we remove these, one of the things I like to pay attention to is with this rotor, we can see that it's actually kind of thin from your angle of the camera. It's a little hard to tell, but as soon as I remove this, I'll hold it up so that you can tell how thin the rotor is, and it's a good indication for when to replace. You can see when you look at the braking surface, this is where the brake pad rides. This non-worn area actually has a bit of a step up when you feel it with your finger. You can also see on the very edge, it's a little bit thicker. So if I run my fingers out, I can feel it kind of bumps out slightly because the rotor is getting too thin, and that's a good indication to replace the rotor at that point. When you look at the very edge of it, you can usually get a pretty good idea too if you see the very tip having a little bit of an extra thicker width than the center braking surface area. When you start to notice that it's getting thinner in these braking surface areas, that's when you want to replace the rotor. Now that we have the old one off, we'll just set that aside. We're going to go ahead and just wipe this flange down before we put a new rotor back on so it's nice and clean, sits evenly. Brake rotor, we're going to feed that cable through, lining up the holes. Let's see, just looking for my blue thread locker. For these screws, you want to put just a little dab on each screw on the threads before you run them back in. Also being mindful to do your best to not touch the braking surface of the rotor. Otherwise you will have to go back and clean it off with some brake clean, some other similar brake cleaner, so that you don't have any other oily residues or anything like that on the braking surface, which can contaminate the brake pads. So we're going to just start running these in finger tight at first. I like to keep them just a little bit loose until I have all 6 screws in. And then we'll go through what's called a star sequence with torquing them so that it torques evenly, making sure that the screws are nice and tight and the rotor sits nice and flat on that wheel flange. Just 2 more screws to go. You could see as I start running these in by hand, this rotor can shift just a little bit. This is why I like to run them in by hand first. And allows you to make sure that you don't cross thread any of these screws. Now that they're all kind of locked in, I'll go around always opposite sides when snugging them up. And now that all the screws are tight, I'll take my tool. In this case, I'm using a ratchet. Otherwise, if you had a T-handle 25, you could do the same thing. Start with your first screw, give that a reasonable snug, and then start in a crisscross pattern as you tighten every screw. This initial tightening I'm doing just to get them a little bit more snug, and then I'll finish one more time by really giving them a good tightening. You don't have to overly torque them because you don't want to strip them or break the tool bit. Once they're all tight, everything's good. My braking surface is nice and clean. I don't have any finger wipes or grease or anything like that. I'm ready to start reassembling. So at this stage, remember we talked about cable side. This is my cable side spacer, so it needs to go on, lining up with that cable coming out. On the opposite side, that's our non-cable side, so I just literally drop that spacer. Now that I've picked up the spacer I dropped, which sometimes will happen, just make sure you have both spacers on the wheel. It's a good idea to kind of hold them in place before you start reassembling the wheel. One of the things I want to point out is there are flats on the axle. Those flats on both sides have to line up with the notch of the swing arm. So when you slide this in, 2 things to pay attention to are the flats lining up, and for rear wheels that the motor cable is facing upwards. So we start to slide this back in, lining up the flats, and once it's dropped all the way into the dropouts, we can now start taking our lock washers. There is a notch, opens up into that opening, so you want to make sure that those are lined up first. Once you've done that, then you'll take your axle bolts. It's always a good habit to just put a little bit of blue Loctite on the threads here before you run them back in. Making sure you're not cross-threading. I like to run this down till it's just finger tight. Get both sides in first. And once I get the second one in, now I'm going and actually giving a really pretty good tightening. You don't have to torque the snot out of these because you can strip the tool or the bolt. But as long as it's reasonably snug, you're good to go and it won't actually loosen up on you. This case now, one thing I want to point out is when reinstalling the caliper, you can see there's oval slots in them. It's designed to allow the caliper to be slid left and right for alignment with the opening here. to where the brake rotor rides. You want to make sure that that opening is always even. And it's good practice too, just to make sure that your pads are evenly spread in doing this, because in some cases, like in this one, you can see that the caliper has a piston that's sticking out a lot on one side and not on the other. This is due to previously not having these aligned properly when new pads were put in. So in this case, we won't demonstrate the rest of that for time, but I wanted to point that out. So when reassembling, reseat your caliper. You're going to take your 2 caliper screws, again, put a little bit of blue Loctite on the threads, and it's always best, again, to run these in, start them by hand so that you don't cross thread them. I will run these all the way down to just before locking the caliper down, because I want the caliper to float left and right. Once I've done that, you can see the caliper floats just a little bit, and so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to visually look down the back end. I'm going to make sure that the rotor to the opening in the caliper is actually centered. When I have that centered, then I'm going to go and start alternating, snugging these screws down. When you tighten them, you want to alternate just a little bit, because if you tighten too much on one screw, it can cause the caliper to shift, and then you don't have it aligned properly. Once we've got them totally locked down, all that's good. I like to just spin the wheel, make sure that there's no drag from the rotor or the brake pads. Once that's complete, I've verified my spacers are in, my axle bolts and lock washers are in the proper orientation. My final steps are going to be to take the motor plug, and again, paying attention to the arrow on both sides. I want to line them up and make sure the plug is straight, and then I'm going to shove it all the way in until there's a little line there that's bumped up against the bigger female opening. Once that's done, I know that motor plug is totally tight and secure where it's supposed to be. Final thing, just take a zip tie, run it around the motor cable and the brake hose banjo bolt. And as you run this in, just like to keep this motor cable down out of the way, get that so it's nice and tight. Snip it off. And at that point, we're done. From here, the only final steps would be to operate the rear brake lever, which is the right brake lever, pumping it up a few times to make sure that the brakes are operating okay and that the wheel is still rolling smooth once I'm done. There's no squeaks or rubbing sounds. That's the complete job of replacing a brake rotor.